like to appreciate Daniel Kasuti. I don't know where Daniel is, for writing this with me. Thank you, Daniel.
Daniel, you stand up so that we can start pitching now. You stand up and we see you. That is Daniel. I know Shinobi Musoke is looking for a tax person. Cephas Virunji. Now, Cephas is our chair of the tax law cluster. And the reason we set it up is to make sure that these few slips of law that happen do not happen in his time. He submitted something. I hope we are doing something in the interest of the public to rectify those things. Thank you. Joshua Ogwal. This is the guy who was asking all the difficult questions, but I am very ardent tax practitioner. Godfrey Akena. Godfrey is a senior consultant and set up a school of taxation. Thank you very much, Godfrey. Rebecca Rosemary Nambi. Sorry, she has refused to stand. Rebecca Prosi Nambi. Tax consultant, there are so many things I know about her, but I will not say them. But she will be announcing next week. So with those remarks, we shall immediately go into the next session. We're going to have a working break so that we catch up on time.
Okay, a very big hand clap for the panel. Now this is where becoming MC becomes very difficult because tea is ready, and yet we're getting into lunch. To skip the tea break since lunch is ready, but for those that would want to take tea on health grounds, the waiter will come and serve you the tea. If that is agreeable, allow me to immediately call the next panel. It will be moderated by Mr. Hussein Kashillingi. Please welcome our moderator, Mr. Secretary. The keynote speaker is going to be Mr. Peter Mulisa from the Uganda National Oil Authority, UNOC. Peter, please come and take your seat. The other panelists are Mr. Ssekatawa, Mr. Ahamya Butsya, Samantha Muhwezi, and Dorothy Nanduga Kabugo. Allow me to quickly introduce Mr. Peter Mulisa. His CV is quite long, but I'll be very, very brief. Mr. Peter Mulisa is the legal counsel for the National Oil Company. He's our keynote speaker today. He spent 11 years litigating at Uganda Revenue Authority, an advocate of the High Court, and member of ELS and ULS. He has appeared in all courts in Uganda and handled tax matters. He's also handled 3 international arbitrations on behalf of the state party involved, holds an LLB from Makerere, and LLM in Petroleum Taxation and Finance from the University of Ghana. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Peter Mulisa, our keynote speaker.
So we'll give Peter 20 minutes to make his presentation, and then each of the panelists, he has been kind enough to circulate his paper to all the panelists. He's making a comment. Then I'll give each one of you about 5 minutes.
I don't know, my presentation could be projected, but it's a huge topic that I was given. And I could speak for hours on end on this particular topic. So I've adjusted it a little bit to ensure that it's relevant as well as informative to the team. So my name is Mulisa, as I've been introduced. I am the company secretary of Uganda National Company. And because Uganda National Company is new, allow me a few minutes to introduce what we do and who we are. So Uganda National Company was formed under 2 acts. One that we call the Upstream Act and another that we call the Midstream Act. I'll explain what these mean. And its purpose is to manage the commercial aspects of oil and gas on behalf of the government of Uganda. So it's among the entities that are in place to manage oil and gas on behalf of the state of Uganda. It is also a limited liability company that is incorporated under the Companies Act, and we have a board of directors, and right now we own 2 subsidiaries. One, the Uganda Refinery Holding Company Limited, that deals with petrochemicals and refining business, that is midstream, and the National Pipeline Company that deals with pipelines, terminals, and storage of petroleum-related products. So that's the structure of UNOC, and our vision is to be a profitable company working across the petroleum value chain that is profitable for the country, for the benefit of Uganda. And we have business interests in the whole value chain. And in the upstream sector, upstream in oil and gas means exploration, development, and production of oil. So when you talk about the fields in Hoima, Mulisa, Moya, and other places, that is part of upstream. So in the upstream, we represent the government participating interest in the PSS, which is 15% in the current PSS, and so we hold that interest of the state in the fields that are upstream in Mulisa and Moya, in the 3 blocks that we are developing. In the midstream, we will hold the 40% interest in the refinery, that's the 60,000 barrel refinery that we are going to develop in Hoima, that will be refining part of our crude into final products that you and I can use in our day-to-day lives. Equally, we are going to transport part of our crude through a pipeline. I'm sure you've heard of the East African crude oil pipeline that is commencing from Hoima to Tanga in Tanzania, that will be taking our crude to the international market. So UNOC will hold 15% ownership in the entity that will own and run that pipeline. We have interests in storage terminals. We have secured a piece of land 10 kilometers north of Kampala on Mitiana Road to build a big terminal for refined products, and we shall own about 51% of that terminal when it's developed. Around the refinery, in a place called Kabale in Hoima, I think it's a place I would interest lawyers to visit because so much is happening and so much more is going to happen in that particular area. We have secured 29 square kilometers of land to develop an oil-based industrial park. So we'll be able eventually from this industrial park to produce petrochemicals, to have fertilizers produced there, and many oil-related products from that park. So UNOC is mandated to develop that park and make it efficient and deliver what we expect from that park. In fact, when you look at industrialization in Uganda, that park, well executed, will be a game changer in how this country moves forward to industrialization. So that is really a snapshot of what UNOC is doing, but we have some downstream operations. Downstream means distribution and storage of refined products. We have another storage terminal in Jinja that we are running, a 30 million liter capacity storage terminal that we are running right now as a business. And we eventually will be in bulk trading and distribution. In the future, you will see UNOC petrol stations, but not in the near and medium term. So that is UNOC. That's who we are. That's what we do. We're a company. The presenter, the MC, introduced us as the Uganda National Oil Authority. I think that's the confusion that has been happening around. But Ali will clear it. He's the one in the authority. There's the Petroleum Authority of Uganda that regulates the industry, so we are regulated by the Petroleum Authority, but we are a limited liability company called Uganda National Company. So regulation of the industry is done by the Petroleum Authority of Uganda, and Ali will probably give a minute to that. The policy, investor promotion, and licensing of the oil and gas sector is done by the Ministry of Energy, and of course the rest, fiscal and revenue management, will be done by Ministry of Finance and Bank of Uganda. So that is oil and gas governance structure in Uganda. Introducing you to oil and gas in Uganda, I just want to pick a few facts, key facts that you need to know when you talk about oil and gas in Uganda. So commercial volumes of crude oil were confirmed in 2006, and right now we have an estimated 6.5 billion barrels of crude in place, of which between 1.4 to 1.7 is recoverable, so we can get it out of the ground and use it for different purposes. The system we use is the production sharing agreement, which are agreements negotiated between the government and oil companies that in many ways aim at you sink your money as a company. If you find nothing, you lose your money and you walk away. If you find something, then we share it. You take some of the crude to pay your costs and make some profit, and then the government retains some. So in Uganda, that's the method that we have adopted as a licensing regime. And the pioneers, the entities that came here early and found the crude, have either farmed out is the sell out, all your interests, or have been taken over. So the entities we have today, Talo, Total, and Sinuk, are not among the initial pioneers. We've had challenges of capital gains tax, and we've had 3 arbitrations that have been decided and I think 2 have been closed, 1 is almost closed. And as a frontier petroleum basin onshore, we've registered over 85% success rate every time there's a drilling for crude. That is among the highest in the world onshore. So Uganda is a very interesting basin, especially the Albertine Graben. Currently, the stage we are at is the development of these fields, the discoveries that were made, and we have issued, the government has issued 9 production licenses, which are being developed in 3 blocks that are now called the Tilenga and Kingfisher Development Area, based in Hoima, Mulisa, Moya, and that area of the Albertine Graben. So the plan to commercialize the crude that we are developing through these 9 production licenses, and hopefully 3 more licenses that will come probably this year, is 3 ways. So what the government had decided in commercialization was to, 1, transport part of the crude to the coast and sell it to the international market. So that's why we are developing a pipeline. 2 was to refine it here and add value to it, supply the market, but also support industrialization that is petrol-based. And that's what we are doing in Kabale, developing a refinery as well as an industrial park around the refinery to supply goods to the refinery, but also use the byproducts from the refinery to industrialize. So we should be able to have fertilizer that is made here. We should be able to have petrochem products that are made here. We We should be able to have all these things made here, and that should improve our balance of trade, our balance of payment, address unemployment, and basically push us to a good middle income status, if not beyond. As we speak now, the target for first oil is 2022. It has shifted a bit because of many things that we have to do, especially the commercial negotiations. And so in terms of where we are on the commercial negotiations, I'll take you through the development of the East African crude pipeline. We signed an intergovernmental agreement with the government of Tanzania in 2017. We are currently negotiating several commercial agreements, which we hope to close this year and then take FID in Q3 of this year, and then the operations will start. The refinery is on what we call front-end engineering and design, which we hope will be completed this year, and then next year we can take FID and start developing the refinery. In terms of magnitude of the projects that we are dealing with here, I'll just take you through the numbers. And I don't know why if it was projected, I think you will see the numbers better. So in the next 3 to 4 years, development of the pipeline, development of the refinery, and development of the fields upstream will enable an investment to the magnitude of between $16 billion to $20 billion in our economy. Now, to just give perspective to those numbers, our GDP is estimated to be at $27 billion, and if you invest up to $20 billion, that's almost 3/4 of the GDP. So the impact of this investment is huge. The opportunities in those investments are huge, and I will show you where the opportunities are. But as lawyers, definitely you have opportunities beyond advisory in these big contracts that are going to happen. So this is the magnitude of the investment, and this money is going to be sunk in the next 3 to 4 years. So why am I emphasizing this point? I'm emphasizing it because if we don't prepare ourselves now and participate now, we will miss it in the next 3 or 4 years, and it will pass us. So I urge you as my land colleagues to take time to understand this industry and find your place of participation. I was asked to look at the opportunities, but what I have done is I've looked at opportunities globally. I've looked at opportunities available beyond just legal advisory services. Because legal advisory service, I think, is a default one, but we can participate as lawyers, and I encourage you to participate in other activities beyond legal advisory services. So have other businesses and participate. In Uganda now, you're required to register your company if it is to be a service provider in oil and gas or supplier of goods on the National Supplier Database. So if you have like most of you have law firms, I hope you put them on the National Supplier Database, because if it's not on the National Supplier Database, you may not be considered for providing services to the industry. But if you have a company that provides goods or other services that are not legal advisory services, you must also register them. And priority under our national content laws and regulations is given to Ugandan citizens and entities that are Ugandan companies. So if you have priority, we shall only allow licensees, contractors, subcontractors in oil and gas to look for services outside Uganda if those services and goods are unavailable in Uganda. So you have priority, you have an opportunity, please take advantage of it. If I had time, I would have asked you to raise your hands if you have read the national content laws and national content regulations. But I won't do that because we don't have time. However, in the national content planning, what we've done is we've ring-fenced certain services and said these are available in Uganda and they must only be supplied by Ugandans. And those services are many, but I'll read a few. So you have like transportation, fuel supply, office supplies, land surveying, foods and beverages, hotel accommodation, human resource management. All these are ring-fenced. They are about almost the list started with 16, but I think it has grown to about 23 services. So please find time to look for these services, find ways to participate in these services, advise your clients accordingly to participate, because these services have been ring-fenced for Ugandans and Ugandan companies. It will be a shame that the $16 billion is spent, and even these that